Listen up, family. This is Denzel Washington coming to you with a word that's burning in my heart. Picture this, you're standing at a crossroads, the world screaming at you with noise bills piling up, dreams slipping away, maybe a heartbreak that's got you questioning your worth. What's your name? Where are you at right now? You in your apartment feeling the weight of the day, or maybe driving, wondering if God's still got a plan for you? I've been there, family, staring into the quiet, feeling the ache of unanswered prayers. But let me tell you something straight from my soul. God's calling you right now, whispering, I made you to walk alone, not because life forced you, but because I'm asking you to choose it. There's a holy fire in solitude, a divine strength most folks overlook while they're chasing followers, approval, or someone to make them feel whole. God's looking at you, saying you're enough. I formed you. I'm with you. I'm talking to the one who feels unseen, the one who's ready to rise above the chaos. Stick with me, because we're about to dive deep into why walking alone with God might be the greatest relationship you'll ever build. Hit that subscribe button like this video and let's walk this journey together. This is Motivation Paradox, where God's peace lights the fire of your purpose. What's weighing on your heart today, family? What's one dream God's placed in you that you're ready to chase? Let's get into it. Let me paint a picture, family. When you choose to walk alone with God, you're choosing freedom over friction, stepping away from the chaos that's been holding you back. No more petty arguments over where the dishes go, what movie to watch, or pouring your heart out to defend your God-given dreams to folks who can't see the vision He planted in you. I remember a time in my life when I was surrounded by voices telling me who I should be, what I should chase, but God pulled me aside and said, son, I gave you a fire, don't let nobody dim it. Living alone ain't about being lonely, it's liberation, a sacred gift from the Creator Himself. It's waking up in the morning, looking in the mirror, and knowing the only one you need to align with is the person God created you to be. You own your space, your time, your energy, every heartbeat, every breath is yours to steward under His guidance. No energy vampires draining your joy, no resentment building up like dust in the corners of relationships that don't honor God's plan for you. It's clarity so sharp it cuts through the fog. It's peace that settles deep in your bones. It's power straight from heaven, family, because you're walking in His purpose. You decide how your day begins. Maybe it's coffee and prayer at 5 a.m. or a midnight walk under God's stars, talking to Him about your dreams. No excuses, no explanations needed. That kind of freedom builds a rhythm in your soul, a divine beat most folks never hear because they're caught up managing other people's chaos. God's calling you to rise above that noise, to step into the life He designed. What's your name, family? What's one distraction, maybe a habit, a person, or a fear you need to release today to walk in His peace? Here's the truth most won't speak. When you're alone, you hear God's voice loud and clear, like a bell ringing through the fog. In relationships that ain't aligned with His will, your voice gets quieter, drowned out by compromise. Your needs get pushed to the back burner, and you bend until you don't even recognize the person staring back in the mirror. I've seen it, folks dimming their light just to keep the peace, losing themselves to fit someone else's mold. But when it's just you and God, you tune into that holy gut feeling He gave you. Your instincts get sharp, guided by His Spirit, like a compass pointing true north. You start walking the path He carved out, not dodging someone else's storms. People out there confuse being alone with being lost, but let me tell you, family, the most found souls I know are the ones who've walked the longest roads with nobody but God by their side. They've built a sanctuary, a sacred space where their spirit can breathe, not just survive. Living alone teaches you to pour into yourself, to let God fill every empty corner of your heart. You don't need to be everything to everybody else, you become everything He created you to be. Real freedom ain't about running away, it's about owning every piece of your life, every choice, every moment with God as your guide. That's not something to fear. That's something holy, something to protect with everything you've got. Choose freedom over friction, family, because God's got your back and He's leading you to a life of purpose. Now let's get real about the clarity you find in silence, because God's voice cuts through when the world's noise fades away. Silence ain't awkward, it's holy, family. It's where God speaks, where His truth lights up your soul like the sun breaking through clouds. When you're alone, you start hearing what you've been drowning out: other people's opinions, distractions, fake friendships, those forced smiles you wear to keep the peace. I remember nights in my own life, sitting in the quiet, no phone, no TV, just me and God. And I realized how much energy I'd spent trying to be understood, meeting expectations, explaining my soul to folks who weren't even listening. That's heavy, ain't it? That kind of emotional labor leaves you drained, empty, running on fumes. But when you're alone with God, confusion falls away and His clarity takes over. You stop guessing who you are, what you want, because He's showing you step by step in the stillness. There's no pressure to put on a mask, no need to fake a mood to keep things smooth, no tension hanging in the air like a storm waiting to break, just you and God's truth, raw and real. Living alone clears out the static like tuning a radio to the right frequency. It strips life down to what matters, teaching you something most folks never learn. Peace ain't found in comfort, it's found in the clarity God gives you. Real talk: when you're surrounded by the wrong people, their voices cloud your mind. You start doubting yourself, hesitating on decisions, forgetting what God's voice sounds like in your spirit. I've been there, second-guessing my path until I stepped away and let God recalibrate me. Alone, you hear His voice loud and clear, not a whisper, but a command telling you what to do, pointing you toward growth, reminding you that you're His masterpiece. Without the weight of others' expectations, you move. Family, you don't just sit there, you act on His purpose. What's your name, friend? When's the last time you sat in silence, no distractions, and let God speak to your heart? Try it tonight, see what He reveals. People out there chase clarity through relationships, through likes and validation, but they're digging in the wrong place. Clarity don't live in the noise, it lives in silence and solitude, in those early mornings when it's just you, God, and the sunrise painting the sky. Living alone gives you sacred space to look inside, to see yourself through His eyes, His torsion, no lies. Once you see life that clearly, you can't go back to chaos. It's like trying to unsee the truth. Choosing solitude ain't a step back, it's a bold leap forward most folks are too scared to take. But God's calling you to be brave, to trust His plan. Clarity takes courage, family, because it means facing yourself, your dreams, your fears, with Him as your guide. Once you embrace that, you won't settle for confusion again, not in your relationships, not in your work, not in your soul. Here's where the power kicks in, family. Living alone means you're free to be you. No permission needed, just God's authority lighting your path. You don't need nobody's approval to be who God made you to be. You ain't negotiating your peace, explaining why you need quiet, or justifying why you're choosing discipline over distraction. You just live free, under His authority, moving in His rhythm. Most folks are trapped, weighed down by someone else's expectations, moods, or emotional baggage. I've seen it, people living on someone else's clock, bending over backward to keep the peace. But when it's just you and the Lord, you do what He calls you to do without waiting for a nod from anybody else. Want to rise at 4 a.m. to pray or grind on your dreams? Do it. Want to worship under the moonlight, letting God's presence wash over you? Go for it. No judgment, no second guessing, just you and His divine rhythm. That freedom makes you unstoppable, family, because once you live without needing validation, nobody can pull your strings. You stop shrinking to fit into spaces that weren't built for your spirit. You stop dimming your light to make others comfortable in the shadows. You live bold, true, and unapologetic, just like God created you to be. Where are you at right now, family? What's one way you can step into God's freedom today? Maybe a choice you've been scared to make. Relationships, even the ones that look perfect, can come with invisible chains. You start compromising your routines, your mindset, your God-given dreams just to keep things smooth. You stop doing what sets your soul on fire to please somebody else. That ain't love, family, that's a prison dressed up in pretty words. I've seen folks lose themselves trying to keep others happy. But when you're alone, you learn what it means to choose yourself every single day, with God as your guide. You move without hesitation, speak your truth without a filter, heal without anybody's interference. In that solitude, you find a divine rhythm, one where you ain't rushing to catch up with someone else's path. You're locked into God's plan for you, step by step, Living alone teaches you to trust his timing, to honor his voice, to follow his lead without needing a permission slip. It reintroduces you to your own strength, your own intuition, your own power. And once you taste that kind of freedom, shallow relationships don't tempt you anymore. God's freedom walks in, owns the room, and speaks truth, even if nobody claps. That's the kind of life he's calling you to. Let me tell you why silence is where you grow, family, because God's planting seeds in the quiet places of your soul, where his light can take root. The strongest trees grow far from the chaos, rooted deep in God's quiet. That's what happens when you live alone. You step out of the noise and into his silence, and that's where you grow. Noise keeps you chasing approval, reacting to drama, stuck in cycles that drain your spirit. But when you sit alone with God, you face the truth, your truth, yours truth. You face yourself raw and unfiltered. And that's where real growth begins, in his presence. Most folks run from silence because they're scared of what God might show them, maybe a hurt they've buried, a dream they've ignored, a choice they've avoided. I've been there, family, sitting in the quiet, afraid of what I'd find, but God met me there and said, "Son, I'm with you. Let's do this together." When you're alone, there's no one to blame, no one to hide behind, just you, your choices, your habits, your struggles. In that raw truth, you either break or you rise. With God, you rise stronger, wiser, more rooted than ever. What's your name, family? What's one truth God's been trying to show you in the quiet, something you've been avoiding? This growth ain't loud or flashy, and it ain't for social media likes. It's the quiet discipline of becoming solid, someone who don't need attention to feel valuable, someone whose actions speak louder than any words. You learn your triggers not from a book, but by watching yourself, by sitting with God and seeing how he moves in you. You find your rhythm when you're most creative, when you're vulnerable, when you need rest. You stop performing for the world and start aligning with God's purpose. That alignment becomes your foundation, unshakable because you built it with him in the stillness. Nobody can take that from you, it's yours, earned through lonely nights and quiet mornings where you showed up anyway, trusting his plan. That's real power. Family. Living alone teaches you that growth ain't about adding more, it's about cutting out the distractions, the toxic voices, the noise that keeps you small. In that space, God gives you room to think, to dream, to evolve into the person he created. Growth happens in silence and solitude, in the sacred stillness where you stop running and start becoming who he called you to be. Now let's talk about raising your standards, family, because God don't want you settling for less than the life he designed for you. Living alone resets your standards, showing you how peaceful life can be when you let go of drama, half-hearted effort, or one-sided relationships. You become your own source of peace, filled by his spirit, walking in his light. Once you taste that wholeness, you don't settle for scraps, no more crumbs when God's prepared a table for you. You stop answering texts from folks who only hit you up when they need something. You stop chasing people who don't make space for you in their lives. You stop proving your worth because God proved it on the cross, and you showed up for yourself when nobody else did, with him right by your side. I remember a season when I let go of relationships that drained me, and God showed me my value in the quiet. Living alone teaches you the difference between loneliness and being alone. Loneliness is craving connection, being alone is freedom, clarity, hearing God's voice without the world's noise trying to drown it out. You learn to love your own company so deeply that anything less than genuine effort from others feels like an insult to the peace he gave you. Where you at, family? Who's one person you need to set boundaries with to protect God's peace in your life? When you build a life that don't need nobody to complete you, you see clearly what adds value and what takes away. You spot inconsistency like a hawk, words that don't match actions, promises that fall flat. Instead of making excuses for folks, you walk away not out of anger, but out of respect for the life God's building in you. You don't tolerate maybe effort or when it's convenient energy. You demand clarity, presence, energy that matches the fire God put in you. You know the battles you fought alone, the nights you stayed up building your vision, brick by brick, with him guiding every step. You ain't letting nobody walk in and mess that up with laziness or half-hearted love. This is the power of living alone. It sharpens your discernment like a sword forged in fire. You choose people with purpose, people who bring peace, not problems, who speak life, not confusion. And if those people don't show up, you're still good because God's got you. And he's enough. The bare minimum don't even get your attention. His standard is too high, and you're walking in it now. Healing comes when you're alone with God, family, because his silence is the medicine that mends your soul. Living alone forces you to face the parts of yourself you've been dodging, those wounds you've covered up, those fears you've ignored. There's no one to blame, no one to lean on, just you and God's healing silence. That silence is your mirror, your truth, your medicine, reflecting his love back to you. Healing ain't a buzzword or a trend, it's a lifestyle when you're walking with him. You can't hide behind someone else's noise anymore. You hear your thoughts, feel your pain in real time, sit with your regrets, your fears, your past. Instead of running, you process them with God, letting his peace wash over you. Healing alone is raw, sometimes uncomfortable, but it's real, family. You learn to calm your anxiety, to sit with your sadness and understand what lifts your spirit. You become your own support, guided by his hand, stronger than you ever thought possible. That's power. Nobody can mess with your peace or use your pain against you. What's your name, friend? What's one wound God's been asking you to heal in his presence? Maybe a hurt you've been carrying too long. Healing in solitude is sacred, like a private conversation with God. You ain't performing for nobody, ain't posting your progress for likes. You're doing the deep work, crying in silence, forgiving yourself, letting go of folks who hurt you, rediscovering the real you, not the version others tried to shape. I've had to let go of old versions of myself, family, and God met me in those moments, showing me who I was meant to be. You set routines to protect your peace, journaling your thoughts instead of projecting them, meditating, praying, listening to his voice. You rebuild your foundation brick by brick so the next person who walks into your life steps into something solid, not chaos. You stop repeating toxic patterns. Chaos don't excite you anymore. It's a red flag waving in your face. Dysfunction feels foreign, not familiar. You don't chase people just to avoid being alone because you cherish your own company thanks to God's presence. You honor the version of you that survived without shortcuts, that kept going when the world turned its back. That's when healing becomes powerful, family. Your worth ain't up for debate, it's sealed by his love, built in the stillness, guarded by the wisdom he's given you. Living alone didn't just heal you, it rewired you, made you new. Peace ain't something you hope for, it's a fortress you defend with God every single day. Freedom is God's gift when you live alone, family, letting you live authentic and true to the plan he wrote for your life. Living alone is freedom, pure, unfiltered, God-given freedom. You don't need permission, explanations, or compromises to walk in his plan. Every choice, what time you rise, what you eat, how you spend your day is yours, guided by his hand. That's rare, family, and it's powerful. You reclaim your life in ways you didn't know were possible. Want to take a spontaneous trip to clear your head? Go. Want to dive into a new passion free from judgment? Do it. I want to stay up late chasing your dreams or rest because your body's crying out. Nobody's questioning you. This freedom grows your soul, sparks creativity, shows you who God made you to be. It ain't just about doing what you want, it's about living true. No masks, no pretense, just you and God's truth. In relationships, we bend to avoid conflict, hide parts of ourselves to keep the peace, to dodge rejection. I've done it, family, tucked away pieces of my heart to fit in, but living alone freed me to be me, flaws, quirks, and all with God's approval. Where you at, family? What's one way you can live more authentically for him today? Maybe a truth you've been hiding. This freedom builds trust in yourself and God. You're the captain of your ship, and he's the compass guiding every step. That confidence is earned in solitude through moments when it's just you and him figuring it out together. You learn you're enough, his validation is all you need, stronger than any applause. But freedom comes with responsibility, family. You own your wins, your losses, your joy, your pain. There's no safety net, no fallback person, just you and God. That pressure can feel heavy, but it builds resilience, accountability, a strength that can't be shaken. Your life becomes a reflection of the choices you make each day, shaped by his guidance. This freedom is a gift. It's the power to live on your terms, to define happiness through his lens, to wake up every morning knowing your life is yours to steward for his glory. No relationship can match that. And once you taste it, you won't settle for anything less. Loving your own company is God's way of teaching you to value his creation, you family, his masterpiece. Living alone teaches you to love your own company, a skill God wants you to master in a world obsessed with constant connection. Being at peace alone is rare, powerful, holy. You face your thoughts, your feelings, your desires, building a bond with the most important person you created in his image. Loving your company means you don't need others to fill the silence or validate your worth. You find peace in a quiet room, not restlessness, because God's there with you. That's strength. Family, knowing you're whole with him, no matter who's around. You become emotionally self-sufficient, resilient, ready for his purpose. You hear his voice, not the world's noise, making choices that align with his plan. You stop living to please others and start living to fulfill his call on your life. That's the foundation for success, joy, true contentment that don't fade. What's your name, family? How can you spend time with God and yourself today? Maybe 5 minutes of quiet prayer to grow stronger. Loving yourself breeds self-love, self-respect, rooted in God's love for you. You treat yourself with kindness, patience, understanding you're your lifelong friend, guided by his hand. You forgive your mistakes, celebrate your victories, grow without waiting for others to cheer you on. That's freedom no relationship can guarantee. Living alone clears distractions, giving you space to reflect, create, focus on his goals for you. Solitude becomes a creative force, letting you explore your passions, sharpen your talents, build a life that sings his praise. I've found my best ideas, my deepest moments with God in the quiet, family, when it's just me and him, no noise, no interruptions. Loving your company ain't about surviving solitude, it's thriving in it. Knowing you're enough in his eyes. That truth unlocks confidence, peace, independence, transforming your entire life into a testimony of his grace. Family. If God's speaking to your heart right now, don't turn away, lean in. Mastering solitude ain't loneliness, it's empowerment, a divine call to claim your space, your time, your worth in his name. I'm Denzel Washington. And I'm telling you, God's got a plan for you, bigger than your pain, bolder than your fears, brighter than your doubts. He's saying, walk with me, child, and I'll make you unshakable. What's your name? What's one step you're taking today to live in his freedom? Maybe a prayer, a boundary, a dream you're ready to chase. Drop it in the comments below. Family, your story could light a fire in someone else's soul. Hit that subscribe button, smash that like, and join the Motivation Paradox family, where we chase God's purpose with everything we've got. Share this with someone who needs it, your friend struggling to find peace, your cousin carrying a heavy load, that coworker who's lost their way. Let's spread his light together. And yo, leave a 777 in the comments if you're ready to rise in his power, to walk alone with him and shine. Your life is a story he's writing. Make it bold, make it true, make it his. Let's keep growing, healing, and shining, family. God's got us now. Go be unstoppable.